1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. On the phone right now with Jeff Keith, former professional baseball player from right here in the Capital Region, graduated from Lansingburg High School, played in the San Francisco Giants system from 1994 to 1998. He's with us now talking MLB playoffs. Jeff, Game 5, Mets, Dodgers, DeGrom, Greinke. What do you got tonight? How's it going to play out?
Well, I'm excited to watch it as obviously an ex-pitcher. I'm looking forward to the matchup. I hope it lives up to the pitcher's dual billing. With the home crowd, I see Greinke getting it done with the Dodgers tonight. I do.
How good, though, was DeGrom in Game 1, and can he even possibly carry that over into Game 5?
Well, that's a great question, Brady, because he was so good. He was so amped up. I think the home crowd really got behind him, and, being such a young guy, with such an electric arm and electric stuff, I just don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that and keep under control with an away crowd tonight.
This pitching matchup could be so good that this game could come down to one play. One play could decide this whole thing, just like it did in Game 2 with the very, very controversial Chase Utley slide. You're a professional baseball player. You think about the game from a former player's perspective. So, Chase Utley slide, hard, old-fashioned baseball or cheap, dirty play?
I don't look at it as a dirty slide, Brady. If anybody should know, it would be Chase Utley. He's been on the other end of that slide many, many times. As a matter of fact, I saw online right after it happened a picture of David Wright doing something very similar to him. So I don't think he had any malintent while doing it. I think it was a hard play. Look, he slid a little too late and he rolled. I got a little problem with that, but I don't think he meant to do anything. I don't think he meant any malice with it.
I think that my opinion on it is this. If you want to call him out for interference and award the Mets the double play because it was a late slide and he went out of his way to go at Tejada, I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay with him being suspended. Were you surprised as a former player that he was suspended for that?
Absolutely I was, especially from somebody like Joe Torre, who does come from an old school kind of thinking. Some of that stuff has kind of go by the wayside. I think it's good. They need to protect the players. The Buster Posey rule, maybe now they'll put in the Ruben Tejada rule, and I'll tell you, Brady, I think it's coming down the pike that they're going to. Look, we need to protect these guys. They make an awful lot of money, and if I were the owner or coach of one of these teams, I would be upset by it, by losing one of those players.
I saw a 2012 National League Division Series play. Matt Holliday, playing for the Cardinals, went right in late to Marco Scutaro. But because Marco Scutaro got up, we're not making this a huge deal. Do you think we're only talking about this now? Was the suspension only handed down because Tejada broke his leg? Is that the only reason why we're talking about this still?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is, Brady. Yep, there's no doubt about that. It was the result of what happened. Now, this is just my humble opinion. The Holiday slide, Holiday at least could touch the base. Chase Utley still hasn't touched the base. Once again, I don't think he meant to hurt the guy. He just meant to break up the play. But you can see, Brady, he didn't even try to touch the base. He just went in and rolled him. That to me was the difference.
They always say you never know what you're going to see each time you go to the ballpark, and that was certainly the case. Game 5, Blue Jays-Rangers. Have you ever seen a play like what happened in the 7th inning where Russell Martin throws the ball back to the pitcher, but it hits Shin-Soo Choo's bat, who's the batter who's standing in the box? It rolls away, and that allows Rougned Odor to score. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I have never. I've seen some crazy plays in my life, Brady. I do want to say this. I was actually rooting for the Rangers, but I was glad to see the game not decided on that play because Russell Martin has been a classy player, a hard-nosed player for a very long time, and to see him defined by that play if they would have lost that game, I think would have done him a huge injustice. So I'm glad it didn't decide the game, but no, Brady, I've never seen anything quite like that. That was a little unique.
The Blue Jays go out at the trade deadline. They get an ace. They get David Price. It's almost like they didn't want him to pitch Game 5. They burned him unnecessarily in relief in a 7-1 game in Game 4. Did it feel like all along they wanted Marcus Stroman to start that Game 5 and not David Price? And what kind of message does that send?
Well, honestly, Brady, from my end of it, no. I've been on that managerial side, not at the big league level, of course. But, I've coached teams, college teams, and elite summer teams. And, look, sometimes you just hit the panic button. I think what John Gibbons did was hit the panic button a little bit. There was no need to bring David Price into that game. They had a solid lead, although Texas does have a pretty potent offense. I think he just panicked a little bit. Now, does it really say much that he wanted the Stroman kid to pitch? I mean, Brady, have you seen the guy's stuff? It's electric.
Great stuff. That two-seamer is one of the best I've seen in baseball. He's 24 years old.
Oh, absolutely. So it's one of these things where I think he panicked a little bit, brought in David Price into that game. You know, look, here's a guy who has been probably one of the leaders in innings pitched in the major leagues over the past 5 or 6 years. He wasn't very sharp the other night, which, you know, I don't think is his fault. He wasn't on the proper rest. However, I think Gibbons says, well, bring him in, panicked a little bit, plus I got Stroman. And he had Price for the bullpen if he needed him again today. So that's probably what his thought process. I wouldn't look too much into it, and I don't think David Price will either.
Who's your National League Cy Young winner? Clayton Kershaw, Zach Greinke, or Jake Arrieta?
I would actually go with Arrieta, personally.
Really?
Although, yes, I really would, Brady. And, the thing is, number one, it just feels good to have some new blood. That's all. You know what I mean? That's one of my main reasons. I think it's the total story. Number one, I think Greinke and Kershaw are going to steal votes from one another because they're on the same team.
Yes.
You know, the Arrieta story. Here's a guy who Baltimore kind of gave up on him. You know, always had a little bit of talent. You know, now he's had that elite season. And especially for the Cubs, their expectation was not there. John Lester was supposed to be the number one guy. Unfortunately for a guy like Clayton Kershaw, Brady, my opinion is the poor guy is expected to do that. It's like, wow, what a great year. Well, yeah, but he's expected to do that. And then Jake Arrieta comes out, and you're like, wow, look at this guy pitching for the Cubs. You know, that's a great story. So it's probably influenced my decision. But, yeah, I'd give it to Arrieta.
Jeff, you were one of the first Capital Region guys to make it to Pro Ball, came out of Lansingburg, played for the San Francisco Giants organization. Since then, though, here in the last few years, there's been a run on Capital Region talent, and it's really kind of boomed onto the pro level. Jeff Hoffman to Garrett Whitley to this year it will be Ian Anderson drafted and probably in the first round. How cool is that to see that evolution and to know that you were one of the first guys that helped blaze the trail? It's
really, really cool. And I got to tell you, Brady, the one thing I'm most impressed about is growing up in the Capital District, like you said, and, in the late 80s and early 90s when I was in high school, our community, the Capital District in general, was really known as a soccer community. Guys like Miles Joseph, from Shenandoah was a big name. And even though I didn't play soccer, I knew who he was because he was such an elite athlete. Soccer was really the thing. I got to tell you, we are a baseball town, and if people don't want to recognize that, they're crazy. The amount of talent that's coming out of here, Brady, is just amazing. Look, these guys are doing it, people like the Hainer Sports Barn, 12, 13 years ago, these guys decided to do private lessons. Everybody looked at them like they were crazy. You got to give credit to those guys. A guy like George Rogers, for starting and building a program like the South Troy Dodgers. Look, people are they're sticking to one sport, they're specializing in it, and, obviously it's paying off locally because we have some great talent here locally.
Jeff Keith, former professional baseball player, lives here in the Capital Region with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com, talking all things MLB playoffs. Jeff, thanks for being with us. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Brady, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, and congratulations on your new show. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.